Bonjour and welcome to the Circuit Pour Card for the French Grand Prix round 9 of the season. 6th time we've been here in France, the 3rd time we've been here at Pour Card, with the 2006, 7 and 8 races being held at Manicourt. This is of course the 6th of 11 tracks on the Aussie calendar to not feature on the real life 2020 F1 calendar. The circuit also has a possible 167 layouts, which is quite incredible when you think about it, really. From just the look of the circuit, you didn't think it is, or the reason why it probably has 167 layouts is because of all the lines and whatnot. Everyone gets confused. But nonetheless, I'm going on a bit of a tangent there. Lap record set by Franco Lopez, 129.617, 53 laps, circuit length of 5.842 kilometers, 15 corners. Of course, there are a number of overtaking opportunities on the circuit. Previous 5 French GP winners have included Kellen Bryce, remember that name, Joseph Willis in 2007, Will in 2008, Franco Lopez in 2018, and Miklos Gau winning here last year, 2019. So, will we have another different winner here at the French Grand Prix? The tyres we'll be using for this race will be the medium tyres. In free practice, it was, of course, a Mercedes 1-2 by a very, very hefty margin. Car ahead of Lopez by 3/10, who himself was almost a second clear of the racing point of Rademoichin. That was free practice. And this was the result of qualifying, and believe it or not, it was not a Mercedes 1-2, it was Red Bull, incredibly, taking a front row. Franco Gama, who's had a pretty torrid season so far, taking pole position ahead of Miklos Gau alongside him. Rademoichin 3rd for Racing Point, great qualifying from him, with Amar Kar in 4th position for Mercedes. George Roque 5th for Racing Point, Roberto Gama 6th for Ferrari, so for Mercedes. It was really a terrible qualifying. Toto Wolff will be writing to the FIA about it. De Rosa in 7th place, David Kubok in 8th. In the 5th row of the grid, we have Franco Lopez, very low down for him, in 9th position, with Laura Chung 10th for Ferrari, although when he's on pole, he never usually wins, Lopez, so this might be a bit of luck for him. Row 6 is the 2 Renaults of Jake Galloway and Evan Byrne. Row 7 is Joseph Willis for McLaren and Chris Chatfield for AlphaTauri. So we now go to row 8. Andrea Federi, 15th for Alfa Romeo. Jamie Griffiths, a good qualifying from him, making it into Q2 in 16th, so that is a good job from him. 2 Brazilians on row 9. We have Dudu Kirby for Haas and Gabriel Gomez for Alfa Romeo. Daniel Fraser, 19th for Haas, and Emilio Wilson, 20th for Manor. That is row 10 of the grid, and on the last of the grid, of course, we have Rosetta Martinez for Manor and Felix Sontag for Williams, only 4,000 separating those two at the back of the grid. And in some OC news, it will be Lamborghini who will make their OC debut in 2021, replacing the outgoing Manor. So, yeah, make sure you play that old KSI track. But in more important news, this race, it will be another dry race. That means 9 out of 9 races so far this season have been dry races. Will we ever see a wet race in the OC? Well, we're bound to, but so far we've not seen it, so it will be, once again, another dry race. And Franco Gama is on pole position. The 5 lights are now coming on for the French Grand Prix, and they go out. And it looks like Gallo's made a pretty decent start from second. I think he's already passed Gama even before turn 1, and he is. And what a start that is from Miklos Gau. He's going to take the lead round the outside, and Gama, who himself has got a lot of fuel on, and he might even be overtaken by Moichin for P2 here. Can Moichin get through on the inside? And will he get through Moichin for second position? And the answer is no. Gama just about holds it around the outside, so he stays in second. But what a start from Miklos Gau, exactly as it happened in the last round in Baku. We didn't win in that one, but there's still a chance he could win here. And Daniel Fraser is out on the first lap, and so that is not a good race for him, and his pretty miserable season, you'd have to say, continues. So as we look at Rademoichin, who's under pressure from Amar Kar in 4th place, coming up to the chicane, one of the main overtaking opportunities on this track. Kar on the inside, has he made it through? And the answer is yes, he's up into 3rd. And Felix Sontag is out as well, so not a good start for Sontag. So let's see what happened here. So Sontag, did he get hit? Or yes, he did. Sontag got hit by Fraser, actually. Fraser was the one who hit Sontag there, and it was a bit of a silly mistake there from Daniel Fraser, to be honest. He hadn't made a good start, actually. He was down to 21st. Then coming into the corner, just went into the side of Sontag. A pretty clumsy move there by Daniel Fraser. So that is 2 cars out on the first lap of the French Grand Prix. Meanwhile, De Rosa, who himself has made an excellent start, now trying to get up to P5, past Roberto Gamba here. And he comes through the fast right-hander, and he's through, up on the inside. Good job there by De Rosa. He's made a great start. And we look through the rest of the field. Griffiths is up a position, and there's Federi trying to get past the Haas there. But Miklos Gau, again, what a start he's made. Already got a gap to Franco Gama, who himself has got heavy fuel. So Gamma, unfortunately, this race being on his birthday as well, not got off to the best of starts. He could still obviously win this race, it's still entirely possible, but right now he might be overtaken by Almar Carr as they're coming down the front straight to complete lap 1 of the French Grand Prix, and Carr is in the slipstream of the Red Bull, and he might make a move into the first corner. This is where one of the main opportunities of overtaking is, and no, he's unable to do it. Meanwhile, behind De Rossa, once again making up another position and gets up into P4. What a start for De Rossa, and he has light fuel. Explains why he's so fast, but he's certainly got the pace. Now, the cars can't pass through here because Fraser's car is still being pushed away, so they need to be careful here and make sure that, they don't overtake, otherwise they'll get a 5-second time penalty. So now we're looking at Morton this in P5. There's Lopez who's made up a couple of positions at the start, gone up to 7th. It's not a bad start so far, and he might even make up another one. He's trying to get past the Ferrari of Roberto Gamba, who himself might even be trying to get past the car in front of him. Meanwhile, Carr has passed Franco Gamba for 2nd position, and wow, Roberto Gamba tried there but failed to get past Moitian into the chicane there, and that allows Lopez to have an opportunity to get through here. And Lopez now trying to get on the inside. He's already alongside the Ferrari, and I think Mercedes is going to make the move stick. And the answer is yes, he is. So he's through up into 6th place, Lopez, and that's a good start. He's got light fuel as well, explains why he's fast. But again, in a Mercedes, he should be fast anyway. So Lopez now already up to the back of Moitian in P5. He could even make up another position by the end of the straight. I'd say the end of the lap. But there we go. So at the moment, Gal's got a 3-second lead to Carr at the moment, so that's a great start for him. But meanwhile, De Rossa is already onto the back of Franco Gamba. This is for 3rd place, and De Rossa might even make a move on the inside into turn 1 here, and he's going to go for it. And is he through? The answer is yes, he is just about. Is he? Can Gamba hold it? Nope, De Rossa is through. So Gamba, having started first on lap 3, is down to 4th. Not the start he would have wanted. Meanwhile, Lopez is now going to have a go at Moitian. He's been blocked a little bit there, but Moitian defends well and keeps the position for now. That could allow Roberto Gamba to close back up and maybe gain a position back, although Moitian does go slightly wide coming through there, although that might be to try and get a run through here onto the back straight where the chicane is. But I think Lopez is already in the slipstream of the racing point, and getting to the point, Lopez is passing Moitian, going in towards the chicane. This should be a pretty simple move, and for 5th place, Lopez on the inside, and he is through up into the top 5. So a good start so far for Franco Lopez, and again for De Rossa as well, and also for Evan Byrne, who's gained a few positions as well, up into 8th. George Roger's dropped a few positions as well, and Byrne actually meanwhile is trying to go past Roberto Gamba. This is for 7th place, and yep, Byrne is through and makes it up there. Good job. I mean, that is generally an overtaking spot as long as you've got the speed in your car to do it. I mean, you could make it on the inside, but if you haven't got the engine in your car, then it's not really possible. But Gal at the moment up front, despite the fact Carr has cleared Franco Gamba, Gal is still still upping the gap to Carr. It's now 3.6 seconds, so been a great start so far for Miklas Gal, keeping up his form from Baku. I mean, you could say he was unlucky that he didn't win the race. I mean, he was leading the first half of it, but the strategy, the 3-stop around Baku, was not the right one. So that's the reason why he finished 3rd, but still a podium for him nonetheless. Has been pretty good as Lopez has a slight lock up, and oh my word, that is a huge accident into turn 1, and Roberto Moitian's car is absolutely destroyed, and Evan Byrne is the driver involved with him. Now, I don't know if Byrne's got any damage from that or not. If he has, then his race is ruined. If not, he still has a good chance of making places, but Roberto Moitian is out of the Grand Prix, and as I said, his car is totally and utterly destroyed. It's just a shell, so we'll need to see a replay of that again. Of course, we've seen a number of accidents at that turn 1 over the years, and not just here, but obviously in DCM as well. So let's have a look at the replay. So Byrne, who himself made a great start, trying to gain even more places, and then trying to get past Moitian into the first corner. And I mean, Byrne was already kind of past. He was alongside him, but he was still past Moitian into the first corner. So I mean, you maybe 55 to 45 on Moitian there. I think I'd say it was racing instant, but I think Moitian still probably could have maybe given him a bit more room. But nonetheless, he is out, so that is the 3rd retirement of the race. Meanwhile, we're looking at Jamie Griffiths at the moment in 12th place, say 13th position. This is Evan Byrne, who is now trying to recover places, and already passing the Alfa Romeo here of Gabriel Gomez. And that's a pretty good move coming through turn 4 there. Pretty simple. Meanwhile, De Rossa, who is now right on the back of our car, so De Rossa's got some amazing pace in that McLaren, even with a light fuel load. Good news for Gal at the moment up front. Will De Rossa try and make a move into the first corner? He's going to go for it, but of course, well, the yellow flag is now gone, and oh, De Rossa does go for it, nudges car out of the way, and he's through, and so is Lopez now up into the podium positions from 9th on the grid, so that's exactly the start that Lopez would have hoped for. The car probably wouldn't have appreciated that little nudge there from De Rossa. Well, certainly wouldn't have minded if he only just lost that position, but he's now lost it to his teammate as well. So, as a replay, I mean, Car very lucky not to get any damage or even roll over, because he was on his side. But nonetheless, his car is still in one piece, and so he can now go after Lopez and maybe even try and go back after De Rossa as well. Meanwhile, Byrne making more places now, going past Rosetta Martinez in the manner. He's on the inside and he's through. So good job there from Martinez. Well, I say good job there from Martinez, but well, good job there trying to defend from Byrne, but it just was never really going to work. Meanwhile, Roberto Gamba is on the back of his cousin Franco as they head towards turn 1, and will he go for the move? Roberto Gamba is going to try it. Oh, a bit of contact there. And Roberto has spun. Roque managed to avoid him. Oh, but his teammate doesn't. And Laura Chung is out of the race. And there was a bit of debris here. I think may have been Willows that hit some debris there. But oh dear, what a disaster for Ferrari. Both cars are out at turn 1. And you really got to feel for them. Again, they were once again in promising positions, and they've blown it all away. And this time it's Roberto Gamba again. Of course, he crashed on his own in Baku while chasing Racing Point of Roque. And this time, the accident that he spun and caused the retirement of now his teammate Laura Chung is pretty much his fault as well. So Chung she will not be happy about it, to say the least. But we'll see, of course, a replay about it. So here we go. So this was the replay. So Roberto Gamba trying to get past his cousin Franco. There was a bit of contact on his back, and he spins. Fortunately, Roque manages to just avoid him, but unfortunately, Chung, she didn't. And this is the replay on board with Willows, who did hit the wheel coming out of absolutely nowhere, and unfortunately hitting the debris. So Willows is going to have to go into the pits for a new front wing. We're even frustrated at the fact that it happened in that way. Meanwhile, Lopez is now actually closing the gap to De Rossa in front of him. So that's good news. The yellow flag's obviously still waving there as Byrne tries an overtake into turn 1, but thinks better of it because, of course, the yellow flags are still waving. But he might actually get a good run off the corner here and go past Emilio Wilson. And he's through, is he? Yep, and now he's up into 11th place. So now he's going to get at Jamie Griffiths, who at the moment is in the points for Williams. Of course, Williams having scored their first points of the last round at Baku when Felix Sontag finished in a very respectable position and managing to get Williams' first point of the season. I mean, Griffiths himself has actually performed pretty well this season, but just generally, I suppose, well, hasn't had the luck, I guess, and didn't have the pace that Felix Sontag did have at Baku. So,
okay, no pressure.
Meanwhile, we're looking now at De Rossa, who comes into the pits, and he now comes out of the pits. 6-second stop, and so meanwhile Lopez actually himself will be pitting as well, and so will well, I don't know if anyone else is, sorry, but as we look at Lopez coming through on towards the back straight, it's been a good recovery so far for Franco Lopez. Also slightly abetted by the fact that, of course, De Rossa had that collision with Carr, sorry, which allowed him to go through, and Carr has not is not gaining back on Lopez at all. I suppose he's on lighter fuel. Of course, I'm interested to see what strategies the drivers do have around here. It's either usually, I mean, the 3-stop here generally can work as long as you can do a lot of overtaking. But it's usually a 1 or a 2-stop, which is, again, you can say is essentially every race. But sometimes it can be different. Sometimes the ones work at some tracks, sometimes they don't. I mean, Baku was an example of the fact of when the 1-stop does work, and obviously, well, it does help that you're on a street circuit and it's a bit difficult to overtake, but nonetheless, it does work better than the other strategies that they have on offer. But nonetheless, Lopez is coming into the pits now, P2, and again, Miguel Gal is clear up front, so this might be a race where the Mercedes don't win, possibly. I mean, as long as Gal goes a few laps longer and goes on the 2, then if he does, then surely that will mean that Lopez won't have a chance So this now goes in. He'll come into the pits, and of course Carl will come in very shortly as well. So Lopez comes out of the pits. I say Carl will be coming in shortly. I haven't seen how much fuel Carl has actually, but it doesn't appear he must have a lot actually, Carl, if he's not really gaining much on Lopez before he pitted. So I think Lopez probably would. Well, Lopez would have got past him on the track nonetheless, although the gap wouldn't have been quite as severe if DeRosa hadn't given him a little punt into the first corner. I think you can easily say that. But at the moment, Carr is. It's going to be. It looks like for Carr, it's probably going to be a two-stopper. Meanwhile, Jake Galloway there going a little bit wide, as he has DeRosa right behind him, and this should be very easy picking for DeRosa, because he's going to get slipstream and go past on much fresher tyres, heading up towards the chicane, and DeRosa's on the inside, and he's through up into P7, so he's now got Lopez not too far ahead. So I wonder if DeRosa can close up to Lopez or not. That will be interesting to see, but that's again a position gain for him. At the moment, Kupak obviously in 9th, Amelia Wilson in 10th, meanwhile Willows, having just pitted himself, is coming out onto the track. I say just pitted himself. He had to pit himself with it being an unscheduled stop, of course, because of hitting that debris from the collision between the two Ferraris, totally not of his own making. Unfortunately, he got the short end of the stick in that. Meanwhile, we're looking at Lopez, who's in the back of Chris Chatfield in the AlphaTauri, however which way you want to say it, but Lopez nonetheless is going past the AT into the first corner and goes past CC as well, Chris Chatfield, for 5th position, and he's got a gap to George Roque in front of him, who himself appears to be gaining on Franco Gamba, as we're looking at the race leader Miklos Gau, who is pitting this lap, and I think this is probably for Gau about the range of a 2-stop. I mean, if it's a 3-stop, then Lopez has easily got a chance of getting this race, but surely it's going to be a 2-stop. I think if it's before lap, well, yeah, surely if you picked it before lap 15, maybe even 14, it would definitely be a 3. After that, it will be a 2, and Gau, but again, it's been pretty quick so far this race, and so he comes into the pits, and so he won't come ahead of Carl because the pit lane time is quite high here. Of course, we're still using the old pit lane exits that F1 used, not the new one they use now.
Just prepare yourself for the first gear.
But as Gau makes his stop, changes all 4 tyres, and will come back out onto the circuit. Not a particularly quick stop though, actually, 7.7 seconds. So he comes out, and he'll obviously come up behind Carr, who's just going to go past him right about now. And Gau, crucially, will come out in a comfortable P2, got the gap to Franco Gamba, so that is good news for him. So he'll have to hope, us as Lopez, that Carr might do him a favour, although Carr is pitting fairly soon, as Lopez actually showing his pace by setting the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Meanwhile, DeRosa is now going past Chatfield into the first corner, and he makes it stick. Good job there from him. And so looking at Lopez, who's now all over the back of George Roque. So despite setting that fastest lap, he's now going to have to do some overtaking. Roque, who's not pitted yet, and neither has Franco Gamba just in front. So Lopez needs to get this move done pretty quickly. Now right behind the racing point of Roque, they're heading up down the front straight, down the back straight, and Lopez just about trying to get alongside the racing point there of Roque. Can he make it into chicane? He's a bit far back. Will he go for it? He does, and he's through. So he's passed one car there. So now he just needs to get past the other Franco Gamba for 3rd, and Gamba himself, who definitely is going to be going on the one stop with that amount of fuel. Meanwhile, Evan Byrne is going past Joseph Willows in the McLaren, which he does do. That is for 15th position. And Byrne got a Manor and an Alfa Romeo in front of him that he's got to deal with as well, as they're now coming through onto the back straight. And although Willows might try and move back, maybe even on Evan Byrne as they're coming up towards the chicane, although Willows going to try to get back past Byrne, and he's now officially back past him. But of course, will Byrne have a go at the Manor in front? And the answer is no, but Byrne crucially does keep the place from Willows behind there, and that could have been very interesting, really. If Willis had gone back past Byrne. As now Willis getting back in the situation, he's going to have a look at Byrne. He is going to have a look. Has he got enough? And the answer is no, the gap's not quite there. Meanwhile, Lopez has now got past Gamma, so that is important. Gets past him down the front straight pretty easily there, you'd have to say, although Gamba, no surprise, wouldn't really put up much of a fight. Anyway, because he's not got fresh tyres. Meanwhile, De Rossa now passing Roke. This is for P5 as they're coming down the back straight. And De Rossa, will he make the move stick? Is he going to go for it here? No, he doesn't. He backs off, so you have to wait a bit. Meanwhile, Byrne trying to get past traffic here as well, but being unable to do so. And now George Roke, actually, who's just come into the pits for his first stop of the race. And so coming out comfortably in the points. He's got a big angle of passes. Byrne's still stuck behind the manor of Martinez at the moment, and he's almost pushing him through the final corner there as they're coming now onto the front straight, and Byrne is not on the right side. He's going to probably get in the slipstream and then make a move to the left. Byrne does so. Can he make it through past the manor? The answer is no. The manor holds firm yet again, so Martinez is certainly not making life easy for the Irishman, although Byrne's going to try and squeeze through here. I don't think he's quite got it. No, he hasn't. Backs off and then goes into the corner behind the manor there, so they're going to have to wait a little bit more for it to happen, although it's not happening for them. Meanwhile, Andrea Federi, who's going a little bit wide, and I think he's got a problem actually because he's going quite slowly. And Byrne, he tries to go past Federi there. That could have gone badly wrong. But they do go past Federi, who has got a mechanical problem of some sort. Meanwhile, Gomez now trying to get past Willis here as he got held up by that mechanical failure of Federi. But I think Willis will keep the position. Yes, he does. Question is, can Federi get back to the pits? As we're looking at Amakar, who is now finally going to come in for his first stop, just as Gal has caught him. And oh, there goes the engine for Federi. So the answer is no, he will not get back. That is his race over on lap 22, so not quite at the halfway point yet, but his race is done for. And so he's going to pull off this other track. I think he's slowing even more now, and he is. You can see the car going past him, and he's going to pull off onto the strips, the black and red strips. And yep, there we go. It pulls off now, so that is his race over. So unfortunate there for Federi, but I don't think Alfa Romeo will particularly in with a shout of getting points today. So I don't think it's a huge loss. I mean, it will be actually good for everyone else, of course, because they get to move up another position. So Byrne, once again, is in 12th place, and I think they've actually finally. That was what happened. So finally, Byrne had got past the manor of Martinez, but he was going into the pits, and Willis took advantage of that because Byrne was held up because he didn't realise that Martinez was going in, and had a good run off the corner. And Byrne got caught out badly by that, and Willis said thank you very much, and takes the position there from Byrne, and of course away from Martinez, who pits. But Byrne will not be happy at the way that he got overtaken by Willows there, that's for sure. And it was a water leak that was the cause of Federi's retirement. Meanwhile, Carr, of course, is in for his first stop of the race. He'll be making one more for the end. He'll be doing it fairly late, so it'll be pretty quick come the end of the race. And so 6.3 second stop there. So good job from the Mercedes crew. So out of the pits he comes, and there we go. Now we're looking at the moment at De Rossa, who is running in a solid P3, and has solely deserved it. He's had a huge amount of pace this race, even with the light fuel, and he's putting it to good effect, De Rossa. I mean, he was called a lot last season the unlucky, because he was generally very, very unlucky last season, and probably should have scored a lot more points than he did. But so far, again, this season he's doing pretty well, and I mean, if he manages to get a podium here, that will be an exceptional result for McLaren. Meanwhile, Gomez battling with Amelia Wilson. This is for 13th position. So as they come through, left-hander heading towards final corner, and now we're looking at Wilson coming through, and he's just about behind the Alfa Romeo here, and here we go. He's going to make a move on the inside, yes. And so it looks like Wilson is going to make the move into the first corner, which she does. So good job from Amelia Wilson there. As we're looking at Jamie Griffiths at the moment running 15th. Gal just coming down the straight there. Lopez, who's trying to go after Gal, but of course he's now pitting again for the second time. So of course Lopez will have another stop to make after this too. Evan Byrne, meanwhile, is in the pits for his first... was it his first stop of the race? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was his first stop of the race. So he is in. Of course, now Lopez will come in. Another pit call as well for De Rossa. So De Rossa is in too. So Lopez, here we go. In he is, and he will pit, of course, one more time, which would be good news for Miguel Escal, of course, because that will mean he won't have to worry about Lopez. We'll see what Lopez's pace will be like on this stint. So you'd imagine if he has good pace, he might... Oh, actually, he was held up a little bit there by De Rossa coming in. So, yeah, I was about to say that, you know, if he keeps the pace up, Gal will probably come up behind him, but it won't matter because he'll have to pit anyway. But now with that little hold up there by De Rossa coming into the pits, that won't do him any good. Car going by on the straight there, up into third. Lopez down to fourth. De Rossa obviously just coming out of the pits now. He's going to come, it looks like, is it behind Jake Galloway? Will he be behind the Renault driver? And the answer is, oh, no, he comes out ahead, but also Roke comes out ahead of both of them as well. And that was great work there from George Roke, managing to get past those guys there. And Roke was behind Jake Galloway, looking to make a move. And then just as De Rossa was coming out of the pits, Jake Galloway got a little bit spooked there. Roke took advantage, got past Galloway, and even managed to nick in ahead of De Rossa, which, I mean, let's face it, it won't be the case about a lap or two later, because De Rossa will be on much fresher tyres. But you never know, we'll see what Roke's pace is like. But I think De Rossa will probably get straight back past him. Meanwhile, this is Amar Carr, who is battling with the leader of this race, Franco Gamba, who of course was on pole position, lead a couple of laps in his birthday race. And so, as now we look at the battle for second, of course, Gamba, who is still going around on the one stop, and he's still yet to pit. He'll be pitting in a few laps' time. But it's just not the right strategy for him, unfortunately. It's not what he would have wanted at all. Meanwhile, Miguel Escal going past Gabriel Gomez there, who was just going into the pits. There's another car I just saw, I think it was a Haas, that's going to be going to the pits this lap as well. De Rossa is once again closing on the back of Roke. This is the battle for P5. Of course, you'd expect De Rossa will get through, because, well, he's on much fresher tyres, and Roke does not seem all that quick, unfortunately. But as De Rossa is almost pushing Roke, coming up towards the final couple of corners. So, as we look now at Gamba, who's going to be under pressure from Franco Lopez, once again, these two are set to battle. Wow, Gamba got a terrible run off that corner, and Lopez just breezes past him. Look at that. I mean, that just shows the strength in the new tyres there for Lopez. But Franco Gamba, again, just really, really struggling. And, oh, De Rossa trying a move on the inside, coming into the first corner there, past George Roke, but he can't quite do it. And so he's holding on, Roke. He's trying all he can. But how much longer will he be able to hold on? I mean, they've dumped Galloway by a few seconds. And so as De Rossa comes through past... the corner, and now surely he's going to go past Roke on the straight. Has he got the power? He's certainly got the tyres. He's just about getting alongside Roke, and this is about the same distance that he had when he went past Roke in the chicane before. Will he go for it now? No, there's a yellow flag out, and Gomez is out, so if De Rossa had overtaken, he would have had a penalty for overtaking under yellow flags. So that is not... that would not have been a good idea for De Rossa to overtake then. Unfortunately, he didn't. But Gabriel Gomez is out of this race. That is both Alfa Romeos out as well. So another retirement here in the French Grand Prix, and another mechanical failure, it looks like. This was an accident. And nope, it was a transmission failure for Gabriel Gomez, which caused his retirement from this race. And so, yep, he's just coming into the chicane. He pulls off the track. And yet, that was his race. Done and dusted just like that. So there we go, he pulls off, that is his race over. And meanwhile, De Rossa still actually struggling to get past Roke, but surely is this the one where he gets it done? He's in the slipstream of Roke coming down towards the first corner. He's going to make a move to the left, he will. Will Roke defend? And the answer is no, he doesn't. Surely this is De Rossa's move. And yes, De Rossa finally gets past Roke, made it a bit harder than he probably should have been De Rossa to get past him there, but Roke still put up a good defence nonetheless. Meanwhile, Franco Gamba is going to be coming into the pits finally for his first and only stop of the race. But again, not the best strategy that Red Bull have put him on, unfortunately. And so he will not be too happy about that. So the Mercedes coming through the chicane there. So we're past halfway. We're on lap 30 out of 53, and so it still looks like it is Nicolas Gau's race to lose right now. He's leading this race, and he's leading it pretty comfortably. And on the 2-stop for him, it is certainly working out. And for Lopez, while he is very fast, the 3-stop strategy for him is not the way to go. And so as we look at them coming, the Mercedes coming through towards the final couple of corners, coming up to the long kind of into the slow left-hander. It's quite long, and then suddenly you have to brake again for the right into turn 15. Now onto the front straight, you can see actually that Lopez is closing on the back of Carl. We'll see what the gap is as they come across the line. You'd expect the line to be here, but it's actually a bit further up. It's just here before the Pirelli sign, down from 9/10 to 6/10 of a second. So if Lopez can get just a little bit closer even, he can get a run on Carl coming down the back straight, and he's almost in slipstream range. He needs to be a little bit closer to get a good run. And Lopez is trying desperately, and I think he's just about getting within it now. He's in the slipstream coming through turn 5. So if he gets a good run off here, he could still possibly overtake Carr coming down the front straight. Is he quite close enough? He's close, but again, as I say, is it enough? I'm not quite sure. This needs to be a touch closer, and it would be perfect. And so, can he make it through on the inside? No, he can't. He's just again not close enough. But here he is. Surely this is going to be the one. Can Lopez make it on the inside this time? This has got to be it. He is close enough now. Will he do it on the inside? And the answer is going to go for it on the inside. And oh, it's a touch. There's contact. Oh, and Carr is out. And Armor Carr is out of this race. The two Mercedes make contact. But for Armor Carr, he is the one that's come off worst off, and he is out of the French Grand Prix. And Carr tried to defend, you could say unnecessarily, from his teammate there, and he unfortunately has paid the price dearly with a DNF. Lopez is through. I mean, it's like, well, it's the definition of I've made it, but at what cost? Although, if we have a look at it again, on board from Lopez's point of view, I mean, he tried to make a move on the inside. I mean, you could say he was entitled. They made their first bit of contact, and then I think Carr kind of went into him after that. So here was Carr defending. So Lopez was on the inside there. There was the first bit of contact. That was him. And then he just, again, steered a bit left. I mean, Carr could have steered more to the right. Could have maybe given Lopez a bit more room, although he probably wasn't happy at the fact that Lopez kind of barged his way through there. Kind of almost like Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg type stuff here. But nonetheless, for Mercedes, it is a nightmare for them. Well, I say a nightmare for one driver and not for the other. But Lopez does get through, but again, unfortunately, he and Carr have a collision there, which could have been totally and utterly avoided. Meanwhile, Evan Byrne is trying to go past Amelia Wilson, but he needs to be careful because the yellow flags are out of the first corner still for Carr's car. And Byrne's going to go for it, and I think he did overtake R just after the yellow came on his dashboard. He was still behind, and yep, the yellow flag. He just needed to do it a little bit sooner, and he might have gotten away with it. But unfortunately, he will receive a 5-second time penalty for overtaking Amelia Wilson under yellow flags. Meanwhile, this is a battle for position. This is for P4. This is between George Rogan, the Racing Point, and then Chris Chatfield in the AlphaTauri. And Chatfield having a good race so far. We haven't seen much of him. He's been under the radar, but he overtakes Roke for P4, and they are both on similar fuel. Roke's got slightly less, ever so slightly less than Chatfield, but Chatfield seems to have the quicker car, which is very, very interesting. So Roke, again, doesn't seem to have the pace this week. I mean, at Baku, he still managed to finish P5 on the one-stop, despite being the 5th slowest car on track. So that was definitely a good effort for him to do. But I mean, he seems to be a bit more on the pace this race, but not still top dog. Meanwhile, Franco Gamba is just behind as well. And of course, he's not pitting, so Roke will probably need to defend from Gamba again if he wants any chance of possibly finishing ahead of him. But that still, I think, might be a tough ask as we look at Joseph Willows, who is now coming into the pits for his first stop of the race. And here we go.
Okay, no pressure.
Changes all 4 tyres, and he will now come out of the pits. And of course, he will be going to the end of the race. De Ross, you can see, meanwhile, his teammate is in P3, and I say coming close to lap him, and Willows is just coming out of the pits now, so I don't think it's going to happen. Meanwhile, Gamba is all over the back of George Roke in the Racing Point, and this could be another overtake for Gamba as well. He could now start to do the overtaking having been the overtakee. I mean, I don't think that's really a word, but nonetheless, I've just made it one. So, of course, Gamma was the one who's being overtaken a lot, and now he's going to start overtaking. He's just about the slipstream of Roke, and this could be close. Will Gamma have a go into the first corner? He's in the slipstream of Roke. Will he go for it? And the answer is no, he doesn't. Roke defends, and so he'll have to wait until the back straight, but nonetheless, or he could just do it here. He gets a much better exit off of turn, I suppose, 2, you could say. And then Gamma is on the inside. Is he going to make the move stick? And yes, he does. So he's through past Roke, and now you'd imagine that he'll go after Chris Chatford in front. Meanwhile, De Rossa trying to get through some traffic here on the front straight, which he does so. Lopez at the moment in second place. The gap to Gal about, I think, was it 12 seconds at all. Lopez actually makes a bit of a mistake, goes a little bit wide, so that gap will go up a little bit. So I don't think, I just don't think the Mercedes are going to get to Gal. I think Gal has got the edge on them, it looks like, at the moment, and with mistakes like that from Lopez, he can't afford to make any mistakes at all, and that is one crucial one that he's made. But I don't think it's, whoa, ooh, that was close, going to make too much of a difference. I honestly don't think the Mercedes are going to be able to get Gal, it looks like, as we see him up front. Of course, the gap will come a bit because of that mistake from Lopez. Now up to 13 seconds there, as they were getting past, as he was lapping Amelia Wilson. Was Lopez. Meanwhile, this is Dudu Kirby, who's on the back of Martinez, heading up towards the first corner in the slipstream of the Manor. Is Kirby, and he's going to make a move on the inside. The answer is yes, he's going to go for it. And, well, no, he just gets blocked off there by Martinez. Meanwhile, this is the battle for P10. I think that was between Willows and Griffiths. And so Willows will try and make a move on the inside of the Welsh driver, and Willows, has he got the speed? He's got the slipstream, he's through on the inside, and yes, he now does make it up into P10, into the last points paying position. Meanwhile, David Kupok actually is going to try and have a go as well. He's going to the end. Griffiths isn't actually, he's going to be pitting one more time. So meanwhile, Kupok will try and make the move, and maybe even try and get after Willows in front. And so, as we're looking at Kupok coming through turn 5, now heading on to the back straight, coming through in the slipstream of Griffiths, and this looks to be a pretty easy move for David Kupok. He's just about getting alongside the Williams. They're heading in towards the chicane. It's a little bit of a distance back, but will Kupok go for it? And the answer is yes, he does, and Kupok now up into P11. Good job there. And speaking of AlphaTauris, Chris Chatfield now comes in for his final stop of the race, and I think Roke will be in as well, because they're both on similar fuel, and as Roke has pitted already. And nope, Roke is on the same lap. I was wondering if maybe he might pit lap 4, or if he might go lap after, but nope, he decides to pit on this lap. So Chatfield would of course come out comfortably ahead of Roke. Roke, who himself, again, has not had a particularly bad race per se, but it's just had a kind of an average race, an okay race, I think is the best way to put it, really. He's still going to finish comfortably in the points, it looks like, Roke. Will it be quite as high as last week? Will it be the top 5? It doesn't really look like it. But, nonetheless, as we're looking at this battle between Kirby and Martinez still holding off the Haas there. Lopez, as you can see, is closing the gap to Gal, but it's not going to mean anything because they're both pitting one more time. So, yeah, I don't think any progress that he can make is going to be, well, it's just not going to work really. Meanwhile, Willows is on the back of Amelia Wilson. He's got to watch out because David Kupok is there as well, as they're coming now into the final corner, and surely Willows will make the move heading in towards the first corner. He's in the slipstream of the Manor driver, and he will get past Wilson. She's not really putting up much of a fight, and so Willows is on the inside. Is he through? And the answer is yes. Makes a move on the inside, and now David Kupok will do the same. Gets a much better exit off the corner alongside Wilson, not quite past yet. Will he make it through into here? And the answer is yes. So he's now up into 10th. I mean, Wilson does have to pit one more time anyway, so unfortunately it doesn't look like she'll get some points for Manor. Meanwhile, we're looking at De Rossa, who at the moment is in P3. He will have to pit one more time, so which is important, of course, because Gamba will be ahead, but I'm pretty sure with De Rossa, considering how good his pace has been all race, I don't see Franco Gamba being able to hold on to that, but you never know. I mean, you saw how well Roke defended back in Baku, but I don't see the same thing happening this time round. But as we're looking at the Mercedes of Franco Lopez, who now is coming in for his final stop of the race. Again, the gap is now under 10 seconds, but it just doesn't look like they're going to be able to do anything about Miguel Gal. I mean, his pace has been just absolutely on top today. There's nothing really much else you can say about it. It has been pretty damn good, I have to say. I mean, it was like that in Baku last week, but the strategy, the 3-stop there didn't work, but this time Lopez doing the 3-stop here, and it's not working as well. You could say as well,
No pressure.
although you could say in
Just free
defence
yourself on the
of
first
Lopez, that, you know, if he had started higher, if he hadn't had a bad qualifying, then maybe he would have won the race, but, you know, it is what it is. That's racing, that's sport. So Lopez now comes out. He'll be behind De Rosa, but De Rosa will pit, so you don't have to worry about that. And he'll come out in P3 ahead of Gamba, ahead of Franco Gamba. And speaking of Red Bull, Miguel Gal is going to come into the pits this lap. I don't know what the gap is actually to De Rosa. And actually Lopez had come out actually behind De Rosa. Well, he was actually quite a way behind, but already he's got past. So although De Rosa to pit anyway. But Miguel Gal will now come into the pits, and he should still come out in the lead. I mean, the gap was about, what was it, 10 seconds and whatnot? Lopez is just coming round to the final section of the lap, although, of course, this pit lane is very long, probably one of the longest.
Okay, no
Well, I mean, the
pressure.
pit lane itself isn't particularly
yourself
big,
on
but
the
it's just
first
quite
gear.
long with how long they with the speed and everything. With the speed limits. It was a pretty quick stop there from Red Bull. I think it was about 6 seconds it was. 31 seconds is the gap Lopez, so he has closed the gap by quite a bit actually. But Gal should still come out in front, and where is Lopez? And there, actually, it was a bit closer than I thought, but nonetheless, Gal has still come out in front, and I don't imagine, you can see the gap is already 5 seconds, so yeah, I don't think that Lopez is going to be able to hit. Well, yeah, he doesn't have any answer for Gal at the moment, and I don't think he will. I think Gal has got the edge on him, to be honest. And De Rosa has come into the pits, and crucially, as I said, he does come out behind Franco Gamba, and he's got 8 laps. I imagine he can probably get... I think he can get Franco Gamba quite easily, to be honest, because he's been so quick this race anyway, De Rosa. And Gamba on the 1-stop, and yeah, I think Gamba might struggle to hold on here, but it will be a close ending. It certainly will be close. 8 laps to go this race. Martinez has now come into the pits. Gal going past the McLaren there. And you can see on this lap already, look at that, nearly half a second up in this sector, Gal. He is on something right now. He has got speed. The gap already up to over 6 seconds. So Gal is really all going out on this lap. And well, it's definitely going to be the fastest lap. I think Lopez currently has the fastest lap, but I don't think if Gal can finish the end of this lap strong, like he has done in just that sector there, I think Gal is going to take the fastest lap away here. So as he comes towards the line, Byrne is also in the pits as well. And across the line, and yes, a 1:30.5 from Gal. That is immense. That is absolutely ridiculous from Miguel Gal. The gap up to over 6 seconds, and I think he's got this win in the bag, honestly. Gamba at the moment is in 3rd. De Rosa trying to get past some traffic at the moment in P4, so we'll see if he's able to catch Franco Gamba. I think he can, just to keep up this pace. I think he'll probably get him in the next, probably maybe around lap 51, I'd say. I mean, he hasn't got that many laps to do it, but I don't see Gamba's tyres being able to hold out until the end. So I wonder if they'll show the gap coming across the line. And De Rosa, what's the gap? It's down to under 8 seconds, so it's coming down, but will he come down enough? Meanwhile, Chatfield trying to get past Galloway in P5. These two battling into the first corner. Oh, there's contact. Oh, and Galloway gets launched up in the air. Actually, I think he's got away with damage, so he keeps P5. But Chris Chatfield loses actually P6 to George Roke as well. So Chatfield down to P7, and he would have had P5 had he made it through past Galloway, which I think would have been a good result for him. And unfortunately, it looks like he has just thrown it away right there. Meanwhile, this is George Roke, who now is going to have the opportunity to get past Galloway into turn 1. I mean, Galloway, again, we've not seen him at all this race, come under the radar. But Roke, I think, has got the pace on him, and he's going to overtake him on the inside. And will Roke take P5? The answer is yes. So he goes past Galloway and will take P5. So Roke, despite not being particularly quick this week, looks set to take another P5. So he gets past Jake Galloway, and Chatfield will be fuming. He's thrown away what would have been a certain top 5, because if he got past past him. But, oh, and this is De Rossa. So how has he managed to catch up Gamba so quick? It was like 7 seconds before the gap. Gamba must have made a mistake somewhere, but nonetheless, De Rossa has made it past Gamba. He has caught up to him and has now taken him for P3, and it will certainly be a deserved P3 for De Rossa, that is for sure, with just 5 laps to go of this race. I mean, I don't know how Gamba's just lost so much. I know he's on the 1 stop, but even so, I didn't even think he'd lose that much pace. Roke is about 15 seconds behind, so I don't see, I don't see Roke being able to get that gap in 5 laps. Meanwhile, Byrne is going past Kupok. This is for P9 into the first corner, and he's through, so good job there from Byrne. I mean, he's, despite, you could say, killing Radomoichin, he still had a pretty good recovery. I mean, to get P9 out of this race is still good. I mean, Willows, how far has he had? 6.5? Yeah, I mean, I don't know, it might be close. I don't know if Byrne will get to Willows or not, but still, nonetheless, the points finish is pretty good. But meanwhile, we are on the fastest lap. The final lap, the fastest lap, of course, set by Gao, and, well, look at the gap he's got ahead of Lopez, nearly 15 seconds. I mean, he has had an unbelievable stint. I mean, even had Lopez actually got out ahead of the last stop, I don't think it wouldn't have mattered because Gao would have passed him immediately anyway. He really has been on another level this race. I mean, as I said, probably frustrated at the fact that he lost what could have been a possible win in Baku due to bad strategy when he was one of the quickest cars out there. Look at that, half a second in that sector as well. He certainly is not going to lose it this time round, and Miguel Gao is set to take his first victory of the season, and I suppose he'll be pretty happy. Franco Gamba, his teammate, won't be at the fact he had pole position and Red Bull put him on a terrible strategy, but at least for one Red Bull driver, they will be happy. Miguel Gao certainly will be happy to take his first victory of the season here at Paul Ricard, and thoroughly deserved. He's been by far the best driver on the track. No one was taking the race win here, and of course he won here last year. Miguel Gao will retain the crown in France. He comes down the final straight, and Miguel Gao is the winner of the French Grand Prix for the 2nd year in a row. Well done to him, congratulations. Franco Lopez, well, he'll still be pretty happy at the fact he'll get 2nd place from 9th. I mean, obviously the whole car incident might take the lid off it just a little bit, but still, he's had a good recovery, Lopez, so he'll take P2. And old Byrne actually did get Willows in the end, so Byrne takes 8th position, a good recovery from him. Well done. Willows will get at least another points finish for McLaren in 9th, so that's still what he needs, Willows, after been a tricky first half of the season. David Kupok will take 10th for AlphaTauri. He will come across the line. And actually, I don't know what the gap was, actually, Willows to Byrne. Of course, Byrne had a 5-second time penalty, didn't he? But De Rossa, P3 for McLaren. Some performance from him, and yeah, definitely, yeah, just, I mean, not much else you can say apart from what a performance from him. Thoroughly deserved that podium. Franco Gamba, again, will be frustrated to lose out on that podium, but he was defenceless against De Rossa, and he'll be frustrated at that strategy as well. Mitty Wilson just missing out on points for Manor then, 11th. George Roke will get P5. He'll be pretty satisfied with that. Of course, Moichin out of the race as well. Griffiths P12. And Galloway does actually hold on to P6 ahead of Chatfield, who couldn't get back to him to recover that position. So again, Chatfield will be annoyed because he would have had P5 had he overtaken Galloway, because there's no way the Roke would have caught him. As we're looking at Duke Code, coming across the line in 13th. And finally, Martinez coming across the line in 14th. That's all cars over the line. Race over, and now we'll take a look, of course, at the full results and drivers and instructor standings. So, Miguel Gao, of course, winning ahead of Lopez by 15 seconds as well. De Rossa 3rd, Franco Gamba 4th, George Roke 5th, Jake Galloway 6th, Chris Chapman 7th. Byrne does stay in 8th place, despite Willows, of course. Despite Byrne having that 5-second time penalty. David Kupok completing the points in 10th, and Minnie Wilson 11th, with Jamie Griffiths, Dudu Kirby, and Rosetta Martin as the other finishers. Of course, Miguel Gao setting the fastest lap of the race with that 1:30.5, which is an absolutely ridiculous lap from Miguel Gao, with Amar Carr, Gabriel Gomez for Dairy, Laura Chung, Roberto Gamba, Roland Moichin, Daniel Fraser, and Felix Sontag, all the drivers that did not finish this race. Meanwhile, in the driver's standings, Lopez extending his lead over Amar Carr, the gap certainly 25 points more than before. Miguel Gao consolidating 3rd, only 20 points off Carr in 2nd, actually, you have to say. Pretty close there. Roke in 4th, Gamba 5th, Galloway moving up ahead of Moichin into 6th. Other movements including De Rossa with his 3rd moving up further up into the top 10. Meanwhile, down at the bottom, Minnie Wilson with her 11th place moving ahead of Roberto Martinez and Dudu Kirby, and you've got 3 drivers there, Chung Willows and Chatfield, all on 20 points. Gabriel was on 10, then Videri with 9, and Sonntag with 8. In the constructor standings, meanwhile, Mercedes have a significant lead. They are extending at the top of the standings. Red Bull in 2nd, Racing Point in 3rd, Renault in 4th, McLaren and AlphaTauri moving ahead of Ferrari, with AlphaTauri just 1 point ahead of Ferrari in 5th and 6th places respectively. Ferrari down to 7th, Alfa Romeo 8th, Williams 9th, and so far Manor and Haas, the only 2 teams yet to score a point in the season. And of course, it was De Rosa, no surprise, who got driver of the day. Although it could have been Miguel Scal, I guess, but nonetheless, De Rosa, I think, deserved it. And there we are. That was the French Grand Prix. Pretty entertaining race, particularly with that turn 1. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to give the video a like, check out our Discord, Twitter, and we will see you for the next round, the Austrian Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you there.